Hello, this is a video about electroacoustic openings. John Young at Leicester DMU has written extensively about form in electroacoustic music, notably in Expanding the Horizon of Electroacoustic Music Analysis. This whole book is available online for students. John Young has also written a shorter article about beginnings and endings, but this is a little more difficult to locate. The abstract is available online. But what better way to think about beginnings of electroacoustic music than to play some openings? I'm not going to say opening statements, as that gives part of the game away. It should be noted that beginnings in electroacoustic music are normally more complicated than endings, presumably for the simple reason that we have no idea how a piece is going to start. But the ending is normally so well configured that when it happens, it's more likely to be successful. Or we're damn well good and ready for the music to stop. Furthermore, electroacoustic endings tend to be so difficult to terminate in any way similar to instrumental music that a vast majority simply fade and let us relax over time. Something instrumental music does less, I think. I continue to think about electroacoustic music pieces taking us on a journey. Thinking extremely simply to begin, that journey can begin out there, so something small and distant that presumably builds, or it can begin with a sudden occurrence of sound, not necessarily a big bang, but a statement. Please also see Lee Landy's book, aimed at all audiences, Making Music with Sound, also available online. To students, this book quickly gives you ideas for sound conglomerations through excellent pictures as well as descriptions. I talk only briefly about beginnings in terms of form in my own book, Sonic Art, An Introduction to Electroacoustic Music Composition, also available online to students. But back to the music. I'll pick music from the repertoire, and I'm going to use Rhetoric, which is a brilliant online streaming service. And I've made a playlist of 6 pieces that I think introduce some very interesting ideas. Electroacoustic.com is available via a Sheffield VPN, and more about that online. One of the pieces that stands out most impressively for me is Crystal Music by Stéphane Roy. Why? Well, the opening happens quite delicately with a clink of glass and a sustained repeated glass drone loop. So it's very much a kind of opening statement, calm, relaxed, and then boom! It's a surprise, but the creatures living out there in the darkness, at least I think it's dark, dance around for a bit and then subside. There are quite a few moments where we think something is going to eventually die away and cause a stop, but it's not until 2 minutes 14 that really happens. Then we hear the clink of glasses again and a new phrase begins properly. So please have a listen to, obviously, at least the first half of that piece to get an idea how that opening actually works. Rhetorical statement and repetition is often used in electroacoustic music. Simply put, statement 1, a ready, statement 1 again with a slight minor change, a steady, and then go. This is clear in Tongues of Fire by Trevor Wishart. And at 55 seconds in, we have a second phrase that is opened in a similar vein. Dennis Smalley's work, Pont, from 1974, also sets the scene in an understated way, laying out materials and building a number of waves of sound that result in explosions delivering energy for further music to continue. This is an opening that really does set a scene. As we reach the 2-minute mark, we are more involved in the scene, it's much closer to us, and it's definitely growing towards a cataclysmic event which appears at 3 minutes 9 seconds. Here's the opening. As I must play some classics to begin with, and Pont is definitely a classic, I also would like to play the opening of John T. Harrison's Clang from 1982, which uses the opening and closing of its source sound, electroacoustic casserole, as a metaphor for beginnings and endings. Pitch, panning and sustaining devices are also laid bare as means of developing a conversation or a structure of continuity. Adam Stanovich's Metallurgic, bringing us right up to date from 2015, brings us straight into his world, and you can see that his structure from then on is one of growth and decay. Robert Normando does something similar with Éclat de Voix, but here his opening environment fades only to reveal the real opening of the piece, which has a rhetorical upbeat before entering its rhythmic pattern. Of course, the environment set out at the beginning is clearly vital going forwards. Finally, you may well hear Adam and myself saying, don't start at the beginning. The beginning probably will come to you when you know what your piece is about and where it's going. I hope you've enjoyed this video and look forward to discussing beginnings in electroacoustic music with you. And in Cubase, here's an example of a composed beginning. I'm not going to go through this from scratch as there was too much messing around to try and figure things out. And it's even so, it was done extremely quickly. But here is a brief example of a sort of crescendo upbeat leading to an attack gesture that opens up the work. So there's a few sounds in this mix. There's a series of short clicks. So that's been pre-treated. Then there's this plastic bottle that sounds like a drum beat. Our frozen sound is treated to have some amplitude shaping. And then I've taken this click sound and turned it into an automated sample that just has a rise to it. All of these tracks go to a little bit of reverb, which is also automated. And finally there's this another little bit of bearings in a box, which has a similar sort of repeated pattern to the sampled sound. Now the sampled sound is very mechanical, but I kind of allow it in this instance. And finally, just to give something a little bit more click and kick to it, I've actually used a kick sound. Oh, that's not it. This one. But it's important for me to try to disguise these. It's not my kick sound, and I'm using it just to colour other sounds. So in context, it fits a little better and it doesn't make itself completely apparent. To play it once more, you have a rising pitch glissando, you have an increase in crescendo from nothing to an attack which opens out to a sustain, and then the phrase finishes with another sort of impulse leading to reverb. This is from my work Roots, where you'll see there's lots of different sound files and one can make roots between them. I have a paper on this that I'm sure you'll be able to read, but there are 2 entry points. Entry 1 is the main start to the piece, but there are 4 simple gestures in this entry 2, and after either 1, 2, 3 or all 4 of them, you can then slip into entry 1. Obviously, if you play all 4, then you've got to go to entry 1, but you have the opportunity to play 1, 2 or 3 simple upbeat entries. So I'll play all 4 and then go to entry 1. Number 1. 2. 3. 4. And then we're off onto the main piece.